In 1996, a government contractor named Phil Schneider gave a public lecture. He claimed that in 1979, his drilling team accidentally broke into an underground facility beneath a mountain in New Mexico. Inside were beings that weren't human. 7 months later, Schneider was found dead in his apartment, strangled with his own catheter tube and ruled a suicide. His ex-wife says that's impossible. He was missing fingers on both hands. The mountain Schneider claimed he drilled into is number 6 on this list, and every mountain on this list has generated the same question: what's actually inside? Number 5 was declared an official tourist site by the Chinese government. The attraction: evidence of extraterrestrial technology 150,000 years old. Number 3 made Adolf Hitler so obsessed that he built telescopes specifically to watch it, and he wasn't pointing them at the sky. And number 1 is still restricted by the US military. A man was murdered over what's inside it, exposed during the Watergate hearings, and connected to 3 presidents. The gold alone is worth $13 billion, and you're not allowed anywhere near it. These are mountains with conspiracy theories so persistent that governments have had to respond. And you've probably never heard the real story behind any of them. In 2016, an image went viral. A mountain in Antarctica with 4 nearly symmetrical faces rising to a sharp point, looking exactly like a pyramid built in the middle of nowhere. Within days, forums and YouTube channels exploded with theories about ancient civilizations, Atlantis buried beneath the ice, Nazi bases from Operation High Jump, and alien construction. The mountain sits in the Ellsworth Range, about 2 miles from Patriot Hill's research base. It's roughly 4,150 feet tall, which is about 1/5 the height of Denali. And until 2016, almost nobody knew it existed. The conspiracy was simple. Antarctica was once a tropical continent. Some advanced civilization built this pyramid when they lived there. Then climate change buried it in ice. The problem with debunking it was also simple. Nobody could get there to check. So NASA weighed in. Eric Rigno, a professor of Earth System Science at UC Irvine and senior research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, gave the most anticlimactic statement in conspiracy history. This is just a mountain that looks like a pyramid. The geological explanation is actually more interesting than the conspiracy. The same process that carved this peak also carved one of the most famous mountains on Earth. Freeze-thaw erosion. Water and snow fill cracks during the day. At night, they freeze. The ice expands, widening the cracks, breaking off chunks of rock. Over hundreds of millions of years, this process can carve nearly perfect pyramidal shapes from multiple directions. The Matterhorn in Switzerland formed the exact same way. Nobody claims aliens built that one, but the Antarctica pyramid had something the Matterhorn didn't have: inaccessibility. And in conspiracy culture, what you can't verify becomes what you want to believe. That explanation only works if you can visit the mountain to check. This next one, you can visit. You can talk to people who live near it, and they'll tell you about the whistleblower who ended up dead. Dulce, New Mexico has a population of about 2,600 people. It sits on the Jicarilla Apache Reservation near the Colorado border, surrounded by high desert and pine forest. And according to conspiracy theorists, it sits directly above a 7-story underground facility jointly operated by the US government and extraterrestrial beings. The Mesa itself is unremarkable. Flat-topped, rocky, about 9,000 feet in elevation. But beneath it, believers claim, is something called Dulce Base. The alleged layout is disturbingly specific. Security and communications on the first level, human staff housing on the second, executive offices on the third. Levels 4 and 5 supposedly involve human research on alien technology. The 6th level is nicknamed Nightmare Hall, where genetic experiments are allegedly conducted. And level 7 is said to be cryogenic storage for human subjects. This would be easy to dismiss as fantasy if it weren't for Phil Schneider. Schneider claimed to be a structural engineer with a level 3 security clearance who worked on deep underground military bases for 17 years. According to his public lectures in 1995 and 1996, he was part of a drilling team that accidentally broke into an existing cavern system beneath Archuleta Mesa in August 1979. Inside, he said, were gray aliens. A firefight broke out almost immediately. Schneider claimed that 60 humans died in the confrontation, along with an unknown number of aliens. He showed missing fingers on his left hand and a massive chest wound, which he said were caused by an alien weapon that had nearly killed him. On January 17, 1996, Schneider was found dead in his Wilsonville, Oregon apartment. The coroner ruled it suicide by strangulation. The weapon was a catheter tube wrapped 3 times around his neck. His ex-wife, Cynthia Dreyer, has spent years contesting that ruling. Schneider had limited shoulder mobility, missing fingers, and brittle bones from repeated surgeries. She says the method was physically impossible for him. When family arrived at his apartment, all of his research materials, photographs, and recordings were missing. And then it gets strange. In 1989, at a MUFON conference, UFO researcher William Moore confessed on stage. He admitted that he had been feeding disinformation to a physicist named Paul Benowitz at the direction of Air Force Office of Special Investigations agent Richard Doty. Benowitz had been observing what he believed were UFOs near Kirtland Air Force Base. The government didn't deny his sightings. Instead, they fed him increasingly elaborate fake alien evidence, including documents about Dulce Base, until his mental health deteriorated. Doty himself later confirmed this in interviews. So the US government actively created and spread fake information about underground alien bases, which raises the obvious question: what were they actually trying to cover up? New Mexico State Police officer Gabe Valdez spent years investigating cattle mutilations around Dulce. He documented animals that had been drained of blood, their tongues, eyes, and reproductive organs removed with what appeared to be surgical precision. There were never any tracks leading to or from the carcasses, and despite the mutilations, somehow no blood on the surrounding ground. Near some of these sites, Valdez found gas masks and radar chaff, the kind of equipment you'd find at a military installation rather than an alien landing site. The town of Dulce now hosts an annual UFO conference. Local businesses sell alien merchandise. The conspiracy has become the economy. A whistleblower who claimed he fought aliens underground found strangled 7 months after going public. A confirmed government disinformation campaign. And physical evidence of military activity at sites where the alien explanation was being promoted. The cover-up is real, but what's actually being covered up remains unknown. This next mountain has the opposite problem. The evidence is right there on the surface. Pipes made of materials that shouldn't exist, dated to an era when humans hadn't invented metalworking. In 1996, a Chinese author named Bai Yu was exploring caves near Mount Baigong in Qinghai province. This is one of the most remote regions on Earth. The nearest town, Delingha, is 40 kilometers away. There are no permanent residents, no industry, nothing but high plateau and salt lakes stretching to the horizon. Inside a cave, Bai Yu found something that shouldn't exist. Dozens of metal pipes running through the cave walls into the mountainside and down into nearby Tosin Lake. Some were the size of needles, while others were over 40 centimeters wide. The pipes were rusty red-brown, the same color as the surrounding rock. But they weren't rock. When scientists analyzed samples, they found the pipes were composed of 92% common minerals like ferric oxide, silicon dioxide, and calcium oxide. But 8% of the material couldn't be identified. Thermoluminescence testing in 2001 dated the pipes to approximately 150,000 years old. Modern humans didn't arrive in this region until about 30,000 years ago. The earliest evidence of metalworking anywhere on Earth is from about 9,000 years ago. The pipes predate human metalworking by 141,000 years. In 2002, the Chinese government did something remarkable. They declared the site an official tourist attraction for extraterrestrial relics. A monument was erected, signs directed visitors to the alien evidence, a government endorsing alien technology as a tourism strategy. But in 2003, a Chinese geological research team published a paper in Xinmin Weekly offering a different explanation. The pipes weren't pipes at all, they were fossilized tree roots. The process is called diagenesis. Under the right conditions, organic material can be replaced molecule by molecule with iron-rich minerals, preserving the original shape while transforming the composition entirely. The pipes running into Tosan Lake were simply roots that once grew toward a water source, now fossilized and mineralized over hundreds of thousands of years. The unidentified 8%? Organic residue that hadn't fully converted. The Chinese government quietly removed the extraterrestrial designation. The tourist signs came down. The alien monument stayed up, because by that point, Mount Baigong had become famous, and famous means visitors, and visitors mean money. Alien pipes turned out to be ancient trees, a satisfying answer. But this next mountain has been investigated for over 100 years, and nobody's found anything satisfying at all. Mount Ararat rises 16,854 feet above the Turkish-Armenian border. It's a dormant stratovolcano, snow-capped year-round, visible from 3 countries. And for over a century, people have been climbing it looking for the same thing: Noah's Ark. The Genesis account states that after the flood, the Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. It doesn't specify which mountain, it doesn't give coordinates, it just says Ararat. But that hasn't stopped anyone. In 1829, German naturalist Friedrich Parrot became the first confirmed European to summit Ararat. He was looking for the Ark. He didn't find it. In 1876, British diplomat and historian James Bryce found a piece of hand-hewn timber at 13,000 feet. He believed it was from the Ark. Scientists believe it was probably carried up by earlier pilgrims. Here, in 1949, an American expedition photographed what appeared to be the outline of a ship beneath the ice near the summit. The Ararat anomaly has been photographed by spy satellites and commercial aircraft for decades. It's about 309 meters long, roughly the dimensions described in Genesis if you use the ancient Egyptian royal cubit. In 1959, a Turkish army captain named İlhan Durupanar spotted something even more compelling in aerial photographs: a boat-shaped formation about 18 miles south of Ararat summit near the Iranian border. The formation is 538 feet long. The Bible describes the Ark as 300 cubits. Using the standard cubit measurement, that's approximately 515 feet, close enough that believers consider it a match. Ground-penetrating radar in 1985 appeared to show regular internal structures. Metal detectors found iron readings in a ship-like pattern. But geologists who examined the site concluded it was a natural formation called a syncline, created by erosion patterns that happened to produce a boat shape. Expeditions continued through the 1980s and into the 2000s. Each one found something suggestive, but none found proof. In 2020, the Institute for Creation Research, one of the most prominent young Earth creationist organizations in the world, published a statement that would have been unthinkable decades earlier. They acknowledged that, despite over a century of searching, Noah's Ark has not been found, and they admitted it probably won't be. 100 years of expeditions involving satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, spy plane photographs, and the combined resources of religious organizations, independent explorers, and at least one Hollywood actor. Nothing conclusive. A century of searching with no Ark, but at least Mount Ararat is just hiding something that might not exist. This next mountain is hiding something that definitely does. And Hitler thought whatever was inside could win him the war. Adolf Hitler built his mountain retreat, the Berghof, specifically so he could watch one mountain, not the Alps in general, but one specific peak, Untersberg. He spent hours staring at it through telescopes and binoculars. He told architect Albert Speer that he had chosen the location because of the view of Untersberg, not in spite of it, but specifically for it. What was he looking at? Untersberg is 1,973 meters tall, straddling the border between Germany and Austria, just 16 kilometers from Salzburg. Local legends say that Emperor Charlemagne sleeps inside the mountain with his knights, waiting to wake and save Europe in its darkest hour. The Nazis took these legends seriously. Heinrich Himmler's SS launched expeditions to find supernatural artifacts. They searched for the Holy Grail, the Spear of Destiny, and the Ark of the Covenant. Untersberg was on their list. But what's actually inside the mountain is strange enough without any supernatural explanation. As of 2008, explorers had mapped over 400 caves inside Untersberg, containing more than 800 passages. The deepest point reaches 1,056 meters below the surface, and they still haven't reached the bottom. The cave system is so extensive that people have gotten lost inside and never been found. But the stranger claims involve time. In 1987, 3 men reportedly entered a cave on the Austrian side of Untersberg and didn't emerge. 3 months later, according to the account, they reappeared near the Red Sea in Egypt with no memory of the intervening time. The story has never been verified, with no names and no documentation. It exists only in local legend and internet forums. But time distortion claims around Untersberg aren't new. Locals have reported for centuries that people who enter the caves sometimes emerge, convinced that only hours have passed when days or weeks have elapsed. In the 1800s, a farmer's daughter allegedly entered a cave to escape a storm and emerged thinking she'd waited out a brief rain shower. The village had been searching for her for 3 days. The scientific explanation is usually sensory deprivation, underground, with no light, no weather changes, and no external time cues. Human time perception becomes unreliable. A few hours can feel like days, days can feel like hours. But that doesn't explain claims of people appearing in Egypt. Hitler stared at this mountain every day for years. He believed something inside it could help him win the war. He was probably wrong. But 800 passages have been explored, the bottom has never been reached, and people who enter sometimes say time didn't work the way it should have. Hitler believed in supernatural powers hidden inside a mountain. That sounds insane. But in California, there's a mountain where the vast majority of visitors believe something similar. And they're not Nazis, they're just regular people looking for Lemurians. Mount Shasta is 14,179 feet tall. It's a stratovolcano, dormant but not dead, last erupting around 1250 AD. 5 glaciers cling to its slopes. From the town below, it dominates the horizon in a way few American mountains do. It's also believed by a surprisingly large number of people to be the home of an underground civilization. In 2004, a government-funded study surveyed visitors to the Mount Shasta region. The question was simple: why did you come here? 89% of respondents said they came to make contact with what the study called underground dwellers. They weren't there to hike, ski, or photograph wildlife. They came to communicate with beings they believe live inside the mountain. The belief centers on a lost continent called Lemuria. In the late 1800s, British zoologist Philip Sclater proposed a land bridge he called Lemuria to explain why lemur fossils appeared on both Madagascar and India. He thought a continent must have once connected them. The theory was wrong. Plate tectonics explained the distribution far better. But by then, the name had been adopted by occultists. Madame Blavatsky claimed Lemuria was home to a highly advanced spiritual race. When their continent sank beneath the Pacific, survivors allegedly escaped to Mount Shasta and built an underground city called Telos. In 1930, Guy Ballard claimed he met a figure called Saint-Germain on the slopes of Mount Shasta. Saint-Germain, supposedly a 3,000-year-old immortal being, revealed cosmic truths and founded the I Am activity movement. At its peak, the I Am movement claimed over 1 million followers. Since then, more than 100 different spiritual groups have established themselves around Mount Shasta. The mountain has become a nexus of New Age belief. Crystal shops line the main street of the town. Meditation retreats advertise contact with ascended masters. Psychics offer readings focused on past lives in Lemuria. In 2014, something unexplained happened on Mount Shasta. A hole appeared, roughly 60 feet wide, seemingly bottomless, visible on satellite imagery. No one knows who dug it, how it got there, or what's at the bottom. A local filmmaker named Elijah Sullivan has spent years investigating. His first thought was that someone was trying to dig down to Telos, the underground city. Other theories suggest artifact looting, or nothing more than an elaborate prank. The hole remains unexplained. Sullivan is making a documentary about it called The Hole Story. Jim Morrison called himself the Lizard King because his girlfriend grew up near Mount Shasta and told him about the reptilians who supposedly live inside. 89% of visitors to a mountain in California believe something lives inside it. They've believed it for over a century, and the local economy now depends on that belief being maintained. But this final mountain has something none of the others have: verified gold, a murder, and presidential connections, plus a military installation that still won't let anyone near it. In November 1937, a man named Milton Doc Noss was hunting deer in the San Andres Mountains of southern New Mexico when he discovered a hidden shaft inside a limestone outcropping called Victorio Peak. What he found at the bottom would lead to his murder, a military takeover, and connections to at least 3 U.S. presidents. According to Noss and multiple witnesses, the shaft opened into a vast underground chamber containing Spanish colonial artifacts, documents dated 1797, 79 human skeletons, a golden statue of the Virgin Mary, and an estimated 16,000 gold bars. Over the next 2 years, Noss extracted hundreds of gold bars, hiding them at locations across the desert. He filed mining claims with the state of New Mexico. He brought witnesses into the cavern. The gold was real. In 1939, Noss tried to widen the entrance shaft with dynamite to make extraction easier. The blast collapsed the passage, sealing the main chamber. For the next decade, Noss tried to dig back in. He couldn't. On March 5, 1949, Doc Noss met with a man named Charlie Ryan to discuss a partnership in recovering the gold. According to witnesses, they argued. Ryan shot Noss twice. He died at the scene. Ryan was tried for murder. He claimed self-defense. The jury acquitted him. Doc Noss was dead, but the story was just beginning. In 1955, the U.S. Army expanded White Sands Missile Range to encompass Victorio Peak. The entire mountain became restricted military territory. Doc's widow, Babe Noss, was forcibly removed from her claims. She was told she could return when it was convenient and not an interference to national security. She never did. In 1958, 2 airmen from Holloman Air Force Base independently reported finding approximately 100 gold bars in a small cavern on the peak during off-duty exploration. In 1961, Captain Orby Swanner reportedly told his brother-in-law that he had helped the U.S. Army remove roughly $300 million in gold from Victorio Peak. That same year, Judge H.L. Moreland filed an affidavit stating that he had personally observed men in Army fatigues, a military jeep, and excavation equipment at the peak. When he approached, he was ordered to leave. Then it reached the White House. During the 1973 Senate Watergate hearings, John Dean testified under oath. While discussing Attorney General John Mitchell, Dean mentioned that Mitchell had told him about an enormous amount of gold that F. Lee Bailey's clients possessed. The gold was from Victorio Peak. That was sworn testimony before Congress, which meant it was no longer just a conspiracy theory. Unverified but extensively documented claims allege that Lyndon Johnson visited the peak in 1963 during an official tour of White Sands with President Kennedy. According to these accounts, Johnson's Secret Service detail later supervised the removal of approximately 19,000 gold bars. Further claims implicate Nixon in a 1973 breach involving 36.5 tons of gold allegedly smelted and shipped to Switzerland. In 1977, the Army allowed a supervised excavation under a formal agreement. Television crews from 60 Minutes documented what they found. Inside the caves, the team discovered military debris, battery packs, and evidence of previous digging. Someone had been inside, but the Army denied any knowledge. The Noss family was allowed limited access again in 1996. Then, the Army suspended the partnership. Today, Victorio Peak remains inside the restricted boundaries of White Sands Missile Range. Civilians can't get anywhere near it, and no further excavation has been permitted. A 2023 Discovery Channel 6-part documentary series revived interest in the case. A Change.org petition now circulates demanding the government allow independent investigation. At current gold prices, the treasure Doc Noss described would be worth over $13 billion. A verified gold discovery A murder, military seizure of the site, sworn congressional testimony, alleged connections to Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon, and evidence of military activity inside caves the Army claims it never entered, and a mountain you still can't visit. Victorio Peak isn't hiding aliens or ancient civilizations or supernatural powers. It's hiding something far more believable. Gold that 3 presidents may have known about, and a cover-up that's still active. 7 mountains across 4 continents, and the same pattern keeps repeating. Evidence appears, governments investigate, and then the story gets stranger than whatever we were supposed to believe in the first place. The Antarctica pyramid was explained by geology. The Baigong pipes were explained by fossilized trees. Those answers made sense. But Dulce has a confirmed disinformation campaign with no explanation for what was actually being hidden. Ararat has a century of searching with nothing to show for it. Untersberg has 800 passages and a bottom nobody's ever reached. Shasta has 89% of its visitors looking for something underground. And Victorio Peak has sworn testimony before Congress in a military base that still won't let anyone in. Maybe that's the real pattern, not what's inside these mountains, but why we still don't know. Controversial mountains aren't the only thing cartographers have hidden. In my last video, I covered mountains that disappeared from maps for 200 years. On purpose. One of them was erased because the Soviet government decided it was too strategically valuable to let anyone else know it existed. If you want to see which mountains were deliberately hidden from the world, that video is on screen now.